Magistrate, forgive me for making you wait.
Monsieur Lecomte, we meet at last.
Was this meeting predestined?
I only mean that I've heard nothing but Monte Cristo for the past few weeks, and I have been anxious to meet such a celebrity. I only wish it could be under more pleasant circumstances. It is also my privilege to inform you that I will be personally overseeing this investigation.
Is it the custom in Paris for the king's prosecutor to oversee every vagrant who dies in the streets?
In the streets? No, but on the property, indeed. In the parlor of such a distinguished gentleman as yourself.
I understand. Well, I hope you will find me and my household entirely at your disposal. May I ask if you have any leads?
Your friend, the Viscount de Morcerf, has stated that the victim mentioned the name Bendedtto. We found a note in the corpse's pocket that shed some light on this. Are you familiar with the name?
I'm afraid not.
May I ask a question, Count? What brings you to Paris?
I came here to continue my studies.
And what do you study?
My fellow man. I have sought to make a physiological study of the human race. My method requires extensive travel, as I believe it would be easier to descend from a whole down to the part, as opposed to ascending from a part to the whole. It's an algebraic axiom, which makes us proceed from a known to an unknown quality, as opposed to unknown to known, if you take my meaning.
Philosophy, of course. But forgive me, but if like yourself I had nothing but idle time, I should seek a more amusing occupation.
Nothing but idle time. Well, let me ask you, sir, do you really believe that you have anything to do? Do you believe that what you do deserves to be called anything?
I understand you have spent a good deal of time in the Orient. Perhaps you are not aware that human justice, while so expeditious in barbarous countries, requires a prudent and well-studied course in France.
But I have found the laws of more primitive nations to be closer to the law of God. Perhaps this will be the law in France one day.
Perhaps. But until then, our codes are in full force, with all their contradictory enactments derived from Gaelic customs, Roman laws, and Frank usages. And the moment you become an inhabitant of France, you become subject to his laws.
I know it, sir, but you will forgive me when I say that your justice holds little terror to me.
And why is that?
As happens to every man once in his life, I have been taken by Satan to the highest mountain in all the earth. And there he showed me all the kingdoms of the world, and he said to me, "Child of earth, what wouldst thou have to make thee adore me?" I reflected long on this before responding. I have always heard of Providence, and yet I have never seen his face, nor have I seen that which can make me believe he exists. I wish to be Providence. Satan bowed his head and groaned. "You mistake. Providence does exist. You have not seen him because he moves by hidden ways. I cannot make you Providence, but I can make you one of his agents." The bargain was concluded. I may lose my soul, but what does that matter? If the bargain were offered again, I would not change it.
Well, Count, this has been the most stimulating conversation I've had for some time. I do hope we can continue it soon.
I look forward to it, and please keep me apprised of your investigation.
Of course, monsieur. Before I go, may I ask one more question?
If you think it will help.
This house, sir, what made you purchase it?
The garden. There's none like it in all of Paris. Would you care to see it?
Perhaps another time. I do, sir.
I do.
Was that Monsieur de Villefort, the king's prosecutor?
It was. It appears he's taken a personal interest in the investigation. I've decided to be flattered by the attention. But how are things with you?
Impatience? You've seen the papers?
I have. It appears these rumors about your father will not vanish on their own.
You should have seen the looks I was getting at the opera the other night. I must ask you, do you still counsel me to wait?
I do. I know it won't be easy for you, but any action you take right now will only fan the flames of this scandal. In the meantime, I suggest you occupy your mind with more pleasant thoughts.
Such as?
Such as joining me for dinner this evening. Perhaps Eugenie could accompany us.
Oh, haven't you heard? The Baron Danglars has decided to marry Eugenie to Count Andrea Cavalcanti.
Has he now? And how does that sit with you?
Well, I don't think Eugenie will be very happy with the match.
You think she'd prefer you?
I think she'd prefer to make her own choice.
Will you hear a little advice?
From you always.
Eugenie can look after herself. You'll see.
Well, that I don't doubt.
I've thought of a better idea than dinner. I believe that our trip to Normandy cannot wait a moment longer. A few days' rest by the seaside will do us both a world of good.
You still want to go?
It's needed now more than ever. How soon could you be ready?
I can be prepared to leave today if you wish.
Excellent. Shall we?
Tell me, what has hindered you from tearing a leg from this stool, knocking down your jailer with it, dressing yourself in his clothes, and endeavoring to escape?
I suppose it never occurred to me.
Because the natural repugnance to the commission of such a crime prevented you from thinking of it. Man loathes the idea of blood. His natural construction inspires him to shrink with dread at the thought of taking a life. What are you thinking of?
I was reflecting upon what an enormous degree of intelligence you must have employed to reach such a high level of perfection. What would you have done if you'd been free?
Possibly nothing at all. In a state of freedom, the overflow of my brain might have evaporated in 1,000 follies. Misfortune is needed to bring to light the treasures of the human intellect. And captivity has brought my mental faculties to a focus. But I think there was another subject in your thoughts.
Not at all.
There is a clever maxim which states that unless wicked ideas take root in a naturally depraved mind, human nature, in a right and wholesome state, revolts at crime. You, my friend, were thinking about the third man in your triumvirate.
Via 4.
Indeed. So, your shipmate Danglars wished to be captain ahead of you. He knew of this package from Elba, and he found common interest in the love-struck Fernand. But the deputy prosecutor, what motive could he have had? What are your thoughts?
I have none. Been over and over it. He didn't know me. He had no reason to hate me or want me out of the way.
What do you know of this vehicle?
Very little. He was a prominent official. He made a name for himself pursuing Napoleon's agents. He had a reputation for fairness.
He hunted the emperor's agents. Now that is interesting. I once knew of a Villefort some years ago who was a fearsome supporter of Napoleon. Noirtier was his name.
What did you say?
Noirtier de Villefort. He fought for Napoleon against the royalists. Edmond, what is it?
The package from Elba. I was ordered to deliver it to Paris to a Monsieur Noirtier.
Edmond, tell me, the crown prosecutor, what was his full name?
Gerard de Villefort.
Oh, Edmond, how simple it all is. Gerard de Villefort is Noirtier's son. You see how it all falls into place? His own father was still active on behalf of the usurper, and you were the one man in France who could prove it. If the younger Villefort was as ambitious as you say, he had no choice but to send you away, or risk his father's discovery and his own disgrace.
Will you give me a moment? I must have some time alone to think over all of this.
Now there is a look I know well. I fear I shall come to regret having helped you in this line of inquiry.
Why?
Because it has instilled a new passion in your heart. Vengeance.
downstairs waiting for this contract to be read. The least you could do is stand a little straighter for my sake. You would look so lovely in that dress if only you didn't slouch so. Don't you agree, Count?
Oh, never will such complaint escape from my lips. Heaven keep me from jesting about that which is dearer to me than life itself.
Oh, what excessive nonsense you talk, monsieur.
Eugenie!
Forgive me, but I must have a word with my father before we begin this proceeding.
I'm sure she's just nervous, Count. I don't mean to keep plucking at her, but she's my only child after all. Surely you understand.
Oh, certainly.
Father, I must speak with you.
I would be happy to speak with you once this business is concluded.
Well, it is exactly this business that I would wish to discuss. Let me be plain. I will not marry Count Andrea Cavalcanti.
My dear, why are you unhappy now?
Unhappy? Since this little affair began, I have not manifested the slightest opposition, even though you well know I do not hold my tongue when things displease me. I did this from a wish to be an obedient and devoted daughter, and I tried until the last. But that moment has come, and in spite of all of my efforts, I find it impossible.
What's wrong with him? Do you find him disagreeable? Is he ugly?
I am sure that Andrea Cavalcanti is a perfectly adequate specimen of his kind.
Please, do not tell me that it is because you aren't in love with him.
That is quite beneath me, Father. I am no schoolgirl. The truth is that I love no one, sir, and I do not see why I should encumber my life with a perpetual companion. I'd rather throw that encumbrance into the sea and live of my own will, disposed to live perfectly alone and perfectly free. I am told that I am beautiful and witty and talented and rich, and you taught me that the last is its own kind of happiness. So why do you call me unhappy?
Dearest daughter, I believe I understand your sentiments. Now, if you allowed me to clarify a few points, particularly this notion of being rich.
Please do.
You admire candor, and I hope you will not be disappointed. I did not propose that you marry Monsieur Cavalcanti for your sake. Indeed, I did not think of you in the least. I arranged this marriage because it suited me to marry off as soon as possible on account of certain commercial speculations into which I intend to venture.
I see.
To be blunt, this marriage is intended to save us from financial ruin. We were rich. We now stand on the precipice.
How can this be?
I will not presume to enter into arithmetical explanations with an artist like yourself. Just know that a banker's credit is his physical and moral life, and as his credit sinks, he becomes a corpse. If you do not marry Monsieur Cavalcanti, they will be calling for a sexton and a spade. But when Monsieur Andrea signs the contract, he will place his fortune into my hands, amounting to 15 million francs.
How admirable.
I thought you would be flattered being valued so highly.
I see. You've explained yourself perfectly. If I do not marry Count Andrea Cavalcanti, you are ruined. Let it be done. Let's sign the contract and set a date for the wedding.
That's it. What are you up to?
Will you call them in, Father? Or shall I?
We're ready.
I take great joy in this and in you, who I now call my son. With this contract, I secure our family's fortune and my daughter's happiness.
Monsieur Bendedtto, you will come with me.
Gerard?
What are you doing here, Villefort? Who is Bendedtto?
He is. Bendedtto, arrested for theft and murder, sentenced to the galleys, escaped confinement, and now charged with the murder of a fellow former prisoner, one Gaspar Caderousse, at the home of the Count of Monte Cristo.
Caderousse, did you say Caderousse?
I did.
Oh, no. This can't be. There must be some mistake.
We have the victim's own testimony. Bendedtto, you will come with me.
Get back! Get back! Down the steps!
Please, dear, do not make this day any more embarrassing than it already is.
I'm fine. Go to your family. We'll speak soon.
Mercedes?
Fernand, I haven't seen you home at this time of day in quite a while.
My dear, I must speak to you about a delicate matter.
Yes?
It's nothing, I'm sure, but still I believe it must be discussed. These rumors about me, about my time in Yanina.
I heard. They're saying awful things about you, that you betrayed the Pasha, that you might have had something to do with his wife and daughter disappearing.
I swear to you that these are nothing but lies, but the damn press will not let it go. I must prepare a defense. The Senate has decided to call a hearing.
Based on rumors? But you said there couldn't be any evidence against you.
No, of course not.
Well, what could this mean?
Nothing. They have nothing.
But if they did, if something happened, what would that mean for us?
It could be as simple as expulsion from the Senate, or execution for treason.
My God, Fernand!
I promise you that there is nothing to worry about. This is nothing. It is just some political rival with a grudge. It will all be settled in the hearing.
Fernand, you have never wanted me to speak of your service to the Pasha, and I have always
Mercedes!
Just help me understand
I don't
why.
wish to discuss it!
Fernand, I have never asked you because I didn't want you to have to lie to me, but if you were disgraced or worse...
There is nothing worse.
Then what happens to Albert? His whole life is built on your name. What happens then? I never asked for this. I was happy to remain in our little village in Marseille and raise Albert. We were happy there. Remember?
I remember.
Fernand, let me help you. Whatever happened in Yanina, I know.
Enough!
Fernand, the well-being of our son is at stake. Why do you make me doubt you now?
Doubt?
The Pasha had a family, a wife and a daughter. Do you know what happened to them?
Madam, for the last time, I will not discuss this matter with you.
Fernand!
Just know that everything I did, from here to the Pasha's palace in Yanina to our young days in Marseille, was so that you might live in the manner that you deserve.
Fernand, what does that mean? What happened to the Pasha?
If you will excuse me, madam, I must prepare for my hearing. Good day.
Fernand! Fernand, what happened to the Pasha? Fernand!
What is this?
Ah, yes. Suppose I owe you some explanation for my contact. Our fortune is lost. I do not know how. I can no longer put off my creditors. The wolves are at the door, and our last hope of good marriage for our daughters failed us. I wonder, Hermione, if you admire the rapidity of my fall.
Admire it? Is this some last noble act of self-sacrifice I'm witnessing? If so, I'm afraid its meaning is obscure.
I can assure you there is not 1 ounce of nobility in what you see here. This is strictly an exercise in self-preservation.
And here I thought there were no surprises left between us.
Give my regards to the magistrate de Villefort. He and I are old friends, after all.
He hates you.
Of course he does. Did he ever tell you why?
Isn't it obvious?
Don't flatter yourself. The good magistrate had bigger secrets than you.
I know all about his father, if that's what you mean.
He told you about the infamous Noirtier de Villefort. There was a time when dear Gerard would have had you locked up for the rest of your life just to keep that information secret. Amazing. I suppose he must actually love you.
My God, you are grotesque.
In earlier days, I philosophically closed my eyes because I thought at least your efforts were meant to strengthen our house. You have no husband now. I suppose you might welcome that prospect. But I will not allow the ashes of my downfall to become the foundation for another man's success. I have taken all that remains and will from this time forward labor only on my own account.
What about you, Jimmy?
No, you needn't worry about me.
What are you doing? Go upstairs at once.
Why? So you can marry me off again in a month hence?
Let her go. No respectable family would come near her after this latest scandal.
I did not ask for this. I did not seek this. But it has come, and I hail it joyfully.
Madam, I leave you with the same level of respect you showed me throughout our marriage.
How strong and courageous you are.